We're over here in Outlook for a moment, and don't let this startle you, but I want to show you something that you can do in Outlook, and more importantly, something that you might already know to do, but you'll want to show some of your users, particularly when you're in the initial stages of a workflow and you're doing a lot of testing. You don't want to have your inbox fill up with a whole bunch of extra emails that you've sent just to make sure the workflow is working. And you're actually seeing what your user's future looks like too, is that they're going to get lots of emails. Every time there's a new employee in a position, that particular workflow is going to email people. Whenever we have each workflow kicking off and sending emails, folks are going to get them. And what will happen is that over time, they actually won't pay a ton of attention to them. And then they'll start complaining about them. So it's really good early on if you can show folks how to manage their email, and these will work for you as well. So we have a workflow that every time it kicks off, it actually sends a workflow-initiated message to me as the developer or as the person who's monitoring workflows, the workflow administrator in the organization. I'm just going to right-click on this, and I'm going to create a new rule. And the rule that I'm going to create is going to say that if I get a message that starts with workflow initiated from TwoTrees, which is actually the name of the SharePoint here, if it's from TwoTrees and the subject contains workflow initiated, then I'm going to move it to a folder. And I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to name a folder SharePoint Workflows. And I'm going to say every time I'm going to throw it in there. Now, if I have a number of workflows that I'm managing, I might want to even be more granular and create a new folder inside of that one that says something even more specific. For example, employee onboarding or whatever it is. And the reason that I want these to come to me is the fact that they stopped coming would tell me that something was wrong. But also, originally, it lets me take a look at what the user experience is. It gives me a way to debug without having to go and crawl into my workflows in order to do that. So I'm going to say go ahead and send it here. Every time there's a new item, go ahead and slide it in there. And I'm going to say OK, and it's going to ask me what would you like me to do with the messages you have already in the inbox. So I'm going to say go ahead and move them over there. And indeed, it has done that. And I can create a new rule again for any of these particular workflows. While I'm working on a workflow, perhaps for the first month or sometimes less after I launch it, I'm going to take that employee onboarding workflow folder and I'm actually going to show it up here in my favorites. So as I have things coming in, no matter where I am, no matter how this is collapsed, I'm actually going to see that I have new information coming in. And if it seems unusual, I can pop that folder open and take a look at it. This allows me to have my non-workflow information or my critical emails in my inbox, and we'll route the other one somewhere else. Remember that this is something that you can easily show also to other folks in your organization. Just point them to this movie and say, go take a look at that, because that would be a good way for you to use rules to manage the information that's coming to you from SharePoint as a result of participating in workflows, particularly a workflow administrator or a workflow owner. So use the rules in Outlook to match up with the subjects that you've created in your workflows, and you get a really good fit that makes folks feel like they're not inundated by messaging coming out of your workflow system.